Have you ever considered why society trembles when a man chooses his own solitude over inherited companionship? Why the untouched plate at life's banquet of expectations provokes such discomfort in those who swallowed every course? Now imagine standing at the precipice of that choice, gazing into the vast, uncharted territory of self-possession, where the whispers of should dissolve into the silence of is. That's where the truth lies, buried beneath layers of ceremony and obligation, waiting for the courage to be unearthed. They call it avoidance. They label it selfishness. They whisper fear. But what if the refusal to kneel at the altar of convention is the ultimate act of intellectual sovereignty? What if the man who walks alone through the marketplace of prescribed lives carries not emptiness, but an unbearable weight of clarity? When you decline the script, the audience panics. Their narrative fractures. The comforting illusion of universal desire crumbles, revealing the scaffolding of inherited dreams. Your silence, your unoccupied space, becomes a mirror, reflecting their own unexamined compromises. Carl Jung understood this fracture. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And what greater acceptance is there than refusing to fragment the self for the sake of a role? Every pressured inquiry, every pitying glance, every assumption of incompleteness isn't about you. It's the tremor of a collective psyche confronting an alternative it cannot assimilate. They project their anxieties onto your solitude, mistaking depth for deficit, mistaking autonomy for absence. You become a living question mark, and the insecure despise unanswered questions because it forces them to question their own answers. You've been fed the doctrine since birth that your worth is measured by provision, protection, propagation, that a man incomplete is a man unfulfilled, conditioned to believe fulfillment resides in the reflection of another's need. But here's the shattering truth they withhold. This relentless drive towards coupling is often not love's triumph, but fear's disguise. Fear of the echoing chambers within oneself. Fear of the unadorned mirror. Fear of confronting the sheer staggering responsibility of owning one's entire existence without distraction, without excuse, being perpetually available, emotionally, financially, existentially, for the grand project of we diminishes the sacred project of I, and a diminished I, no matter how adorned with rings, can only build a fragile we. Your constant availability, your predictable path, makes you a tool in society's machinery, a cog validated only by its function within the pair. But remove the cog, and the machine stutters. Revealing it was never the only way the world could turn. This isn't about rejecting connection. It's about redefining intelligence, not as the accumulation of worldly attachments, but as the ruthless discernment of where your finite life force is invested. Every yes to tradition is a no, whispered to your unlived potential. Every compromise made before the altar of expectation drains vitality from the altar of self-discovery. They call the unmarried man evasive. But what is he evading? The slow erosion of his essence, the dilution of his purpose in the service of a shared fiction. Jung spoke of individuation, the arduous journey towards wholeness. This journey demands solitude, demands the terrifying freedom of answering only to the inner tribunal. How can you hear the verdicts of your own soul amidst the cacophony of familial and societal demands? The man who chooses the quiet chooses the crucible. He understands that some fires burn brightest alone, forging a self not defined by its reflection in another's eyes, but by its own incandescent core. He trades the warmth of borrowed identity for the fierce, clarifying cold of self-ownership. Is that avoidance? Or is it the most profound engagement possible with the mystery of one's own being? Before we continue, this type of exploration demands significant time and effort. Delving into uncomfortable truths requires courage to voice and resources to share. If this resonance, this challenge to the comfortable narrative, finds a place within you, and you wish to support this journey of inquiry, consider the profound impact of a super thanks. It fuels the continuation, the deepening. Thank you deeply to everyone who recognizes the value in this shared excavation. Your belief makes the path forward possible. Let's venture further together. So, we arrive at the heart of the storm, the word smartest. Let's dismantle it, peel back the layers of assumed superiority. This isn't about IQ points or academic accolades. It's about a different calculus entirely, a radical intelligence of being, the intelligence to calculate the true cost, not in currency, but in the irreplaceable currency of a lifetime. The intelligence to recognize that societal approval is a poor compass for a meaningful journey. The intelligence to face the existential void without rushing to fill it with another human shield. This intelligence is cold, sharp, unforgiving. It sees the opportunity cost of every I do, the dreams deferred, the paths untrodden, the compromises etched into the soul. It understands that love, genuine connection, is never the enemy, but that the institution, the expectation, the script often is. The smartest man in the room isn't necessarily the one solving equations. He might be the one who solved the equation of himself, who weighed the variables of freedom, intimacy, obligation, and dared to choose based on an internal logic, not an external demand. He saw the fine print others ignored, the lifetime subscription to roles he never auditioned for, and simply, consciously, declined. Is this intelligence celebrated? Rarely. It's too unsettling, too revealing of the debts others have incurred. But it pulses, undeniable, in the quiet certainty of his chosen path. Ask yourself, where does your intelligence lie? In fulfilling the map or in daring to redraw it? Subtle call to action woven in. This understanding, this peeling back of layers, takes us deeper still. And if you're finding value in confronting these uncomfortable mirrors, consider the power of a subscribed notification or like that signal's resonance. It tells the algorithm this depth is worth sustaining now. On to the backlash for choosing oneself truly, fiercely, invites the whirlwind. When you refuse the role, the stagehands panic. They labeled you smart. Now they whisper cold, detached, afraid of commitment. Their projections intensify. Your contentment becomes an accusation. Your peace, a provocation. Why does the solitary man threaten the coupled world? Because his existence proves the foundational myth is optional. His unburdened shoulders, his time unclaimed by domestic negotiation, his decisions made in the silent counsel of his own mind. Shine a light on the compromises others have made. Jung knew the shadow. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. Your choice, your visible choice, forces their unexamined shadows into the light. The man who avoided marriage didn't just avoid a ceremony, he avoided becoming a receptacle for another's unprocessed fears, unmet needs, unrealized dreams. He refused the projection, and in that refusal, he holds up a mirror, forcing others to confront the parts of themselves they outsourced to the idea of partnership. The irritation, the judgment, the desperate attempts to pathologize his peace are not about him. They are the frantic defense mechanisms of a narrative under siege. The loneliness they project onto him is often the loneliness they feel amidst the noise of their own chosen entanglement. Have you felt that eerie stillness after choosing yourself? The deafening silence where approval used to be. That's the sound of your authenticity echoing in the hollows of their expectations. It's not an emptiness, it's a clearing. How long will you let the fear of that silence dictate your surrender? This path demands relentless self-honesty. It requires staring into the abyss of pure autonomy, where no one is coming to save you, validate you, or complete you. The energy conserved by avoiding the constant negotiation of coupled life, the emotional labor, the financial entanglements, the compromises on time, space, ambition. That energy doesn't vanish. It concentrates. It becomes fuel, potent and demanding. Will you channel it into creation, into understanding, into deepening your engagement with the world on your terms? Or will the weight of that unshared energy, that terrifying freedom, become a new kind of prison? The smartest man knows this energy is his most sacred resource. He guards it, not with misanthropy, but with fierce discernment. He invests it, not in building a fortress of solitude, but in forging connections chosen deliberately, freely, without the desperate hunger for completion. He understands that true connection flourishes in the space between two whole beings, not in the merger of two halves seeking wholeness. This is the paradox. Only by being utterly sufficient unto himself